the third level of a seeker is one who perceives the problem in the world, relationship, situation in the same way as a non-seeker does, but only one difference. The seeker recognizes it as an opportunity to test these principles whether they are working or not, and non-seeker gets involved. Non-seeker gets involved into it. Seeker, for the seeker, the word is a test, an examination. If there is no word, there is no problem. There is no word, there is no problem. So from where the problem has come in? From the word. Where I have to solve? From the very word. If I don't perceive the same situation which caused me the stress, now as a seeker I am approaching the same situation, and now I see that situational problem is not a problem, it is an opportunity, it is checking my level of awareness and level of seeking. Who did not face the problem? Buddha faced the problem. Jesus faced the problem. Tell me, which master did not face the problem? Which master can say it is 100%? Tell me. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Vivekananda, Aurobindo. So our perception changes, and that perception changes is a discerning mind. That perception, change of perception is a discerning mind. So conflict, duality, emotional nature, it is a default mind. In between there is a knowledge. In between there is a knowledge. The default mind versus the discerning mind. Default mind, you can think, person number one, inside. How do you know that? It has unwanted thought, feeling, emotion, unwanted, unwelcome. I did not invite any thought, it comes. I did not invite any emotion. It looks at the situation, situational problem. Person number one. Now the person number two is the discerning mind. Person number one is the default mind. Person number two is also present. I don't invoke it, I don't invite it, so the default mind takes over. You invoke the person number two, and then what happens? You move to the person number three. It's so casual, I'm relaxed. I'm talking. It is person number three, guided by the person number two, the discerning mind, leaving behind the person number three. Finished. So for that I have to be vigilant. For that I have to be vigilant, self-aware. If the moment I lose that self-awareness, I have this problem, whether you say it is of attachment, identification, ego, whatever you say, default mind. I cannot change the situation outside, but I can ask the mind to have a change of perception. Situation outside. First thing, to change the perception. How? By discerning mind. What the discerning mind does, it leaves the emotional reaction, duality, and a conflict because it belongs to the default mind. Contemplate. In the very situation, you cannot say that, okay, honey, you are angry, let me practice meditation and come out with a solution. No, it is a knowledge practice. You have to instantly think, get rid of the default mind, and now your mind is in the mode of contemplation, reflection. What is this knowledge? Vigilance and awareness. Vigilance and awareness. Knowledge is power. Here it works. Knowledge is the power. But the knowledge can easily be applied if there is a separation. If I recognize this separation, thoughts, feelings, emotions of duality, conflict, delusion, ego are separate from me. They are definitely separate from me, but I don't recognize it. So the knowledge helps me to recognize that separation. Oh, it's already separate. I'm not the thought of anxiety. I'm not the thought of delusion. I'm not the thought of reaction. So there is a void, there is a emptiness, there is a blankness. Once I get to that point in my daily life, after all, this is 66-year-old body, it must have some aging problem, aging challenge. No, I should run the way I was running at the age of 25, not possible. So I'm getting emotionally involved. And then I have a problem. Why? Because that is what the attachment is. One example, the same way it happens. Same way we get into anxiety, upset. It is because whether you say anxiety, teacher teaches in a different ways. We feel these emotions because of attachment, expectations. Now, not only this to understand, but we have to understand when there is an attachment and expectations, the default mind gets more energy, it gets more power, and it believes that external events and people should conform to my internal states. So default mind becomes stronger. It stops the discerning mind. Then it dictates over it. Then I have a problem. And the entire thing happens in a fraction of a millisecond. You see a person you don't like, finished. Emotional reaction and disliking and the face expression, everything changes. Why it changes? Because we are controlled by the default mind. We have been doing this for years. We have millions of these impressions. So I have to activate the discerning mind. We are understanding how can this be done without expressing it to others. This is purely an internal process. I can say I hate you mentally, and I can say I like you mentally. Mentally. So then I have to check which is right, good, and proper. Which is right, good, and proper for me, which is right, good, and proper for you. If I keep my mind, default mind, constantly repeating that I dislike you, I hate you, I react to you, my expression, my face expression, my verbal expression will also change. So what is right, good, and proper for me, for you? I should avoid this emotional reaction. How? By replacing. What is replacing? By the thought. And that is what you did. Contemplation and reflection. I already answered another question, that why it is hard to move the mind inward, because of so many impressions are there. Millions of impressions. Millions of impressions. So that is why the master says, now you look at the rule of Mangalacharan. It is a thought simply, thought process to be contemplated, and so that we can change the perception, but not one time, practically, pragmatically, listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, and practice and experience. Not only practice and experience, I have to check throughout the day how many times I goes into anxiety, reaction, duality, conflict, ego, whatever it is. Or simply say how many times I was not comfortable. Uncomfort may be due to emotional reaction, due to duality, due to conflict. So in the before sleeping, I contemplate and reflect 5 times, and then I take each incident, and then I rehearse that did I have another option? It comes through the contemplation reflection. So the mind is receiving an option of those events which I attended habitually, impulsively, and as you continue to create impressions of right, good, and proper every day, days and weeks and months, and you will forget, I'm living casually in commons. Think. We are just, Master is saying that you have to think. Freedom formula. This is the formula of freedom. We always talk of chemistry formula, so this is a formula for the freedom. Just lay it off. It is an opportunity for me to see if I can maintain clarity and the calmness, so-called in difficult situation and reaction. But if the ego forces you not to do it, it will not happen. So that is why we also talk of the ego, not only delusion, not only emotional reaction. The point is, when I have reacted, I became angry. What the hell? I create more problems too. I'm not ready to move ahead. One woman told me, it is a group session. She said, I'm not able to control my jealousy. So please guide me and suggest me what to do. I have been talking about it. It is the same problem of my attachment and detachment. And after a few hours, the same lady sent me another mail that I request you don't discuss my problem as a teaching tool. Whether I discuss your problem or it is a universal problem, why shouldn't I discuss? So now you see the ego.
Yeah.
So I want to maintain my ego and I want to get rid of it. Jealousy is one manifestation of ego. Binding desire is another manifestation of ego. Likes and dislikes is another manifestation of ego. Delusion is another manifestation of ego. Now you are asking me not to discuss. So you teach me or I will teach you. Whether you leave this session. Not interested. And you see that? Because even after 70 years of my age, I cannot understand. I want to hold on to this ego. That is why it is taking a time. See the similar situation like a ship I discussed last time, like a ship caught in a storm, being tossed by the waves and the wind. Means thought and emotions, believing it is the chaotic sea. I believe it is because of the chaotic sea I am getting caught into this. It feels out of control and in constant danger of sinking. And my problem of survival makes me anxious. This is only a perception by one mind, perception by another mind of the same situation, like the captain on the deck, aware of the storm and the frantic movement, but not identifying with it. I'm not identifying. Captain remains calm observer, holding the wheel with a steady awareness, seeing the storm as a temporary event, while staying secure in their role. You might be aware, I think you are an engineer, so the pilots who are trained how to control the plane in a turbulent wind and the waves, they wait. They don't see anything, they wait. The plane is still going on, they wait. And they are able to control. And those who are not able to control, plane accident. See the very simple, I made it very simple. I am upset, attached with this thought, then I am upset. There is an awareness that this is only a thought that I am upset. It's a big difference. You read the book, and there you read many thoughts. The actor is saying, honey, you are crazy. So it does not mean that I become crazy. I am an observer while reading the novel. But here, in my daily living, I don't become an observer. Why? Because of attachment. Why don't you see that I am upset is written as a thought in the screen of my mind, on the page of my mind, finished. That level of awareness is required not only to become a seeker but progress higher. At any moment of time, emotional reaction, mental, anything happens. I'm simply saying anything happens which gives me an experience of unease and uncomfort. The cause is behind it. I should not identify, I should remember. This is a thought of upset. I am not a thought. You even say it intellectually, it will work. That is what in the very beginning, and Mangalacharan helps you to do that. Did I tell you, I think the last session last week, and she said, I was dreaming and I woke up and I wanted to solve the problem which I was facing in the dream. And suddenly she woke up. She said, "Oh, no, it's a dream. Where is the problem? I'm out of the dream." This is the separation. This is getting rid of the attachment.
Cigna Medicare.
Again, understand, when you listen to it again and again, it will help you to follow this. Situational unhappiness, relational happiness or unhappiness, event happiness or unhappiness, event reaction or response. My mind is attached to the world outside, whether it is a person or a relationship. First thing, once we understand, and we go a little deeper, we understand that we want to extract the happiness or unhappiness from a situation outside. This understanding, when you see this understanding, all your anxiety, duality, conflict, emotional reaction drops. Why? Because your mind smiles and laughs at you. How and why it laughs at you? It laughs at you by thinking that my refrigerator cannot act like a TV. This is just an awareness. From the thought we move to this awareness. Why my phone is not acting like a refrigerator? So I'm trying to extract happiness from the outer situation. That is the situation. So seeker's mind is filled with this wisdom. This is discernment. Discernment is not intellectual separate and no. In actual life. I know what you have learned in the past will return in a different way, in a different dimension. Krishna says nothing is waste in the Eastern wisdom. Neha vikramana shusti pratyavayu na vidyate. Not a single lesson principle is waste if you have learned, even if it intellectually, it will take your mind deeper. So the default mind, automatic pilot consciousness, self-driven car. The unconscious, here is the default mind, is unconscious, reactive mental state that operates on autopilot. Default mind by nature is extremely selfish. It wants to extract everything for itself. By default. That is why it goes on autopilot. That is why it is impulsive in nature. It instantly creates likes and dislikes without any reason. How How it works? It identifies with the thought. There is a thought of anxiety and it says I am into anxiety. First it identifies with the thought, then it amplifies it. And what is the another thought of amplification? I am upset because of you. What the hell you have done to me? Nothing. Why I am upset with you? Mind, you take care of yourself. Don't make anyone responsible. Normally we say I am upset with you. I reacted because you gave 1,000,000 reasons. All reasons are wrong. You are upset because of yourself. You are upset because of yourself. You are angry because of yourself. You reacted because of yourself. Your expectations are not met. What is the solution? I find the same situation, I had the same thought, and I recognize this is only a thought, this is not me. Your attachment drops, your identification drops, your amplification drops, you are there. But we have to apply it. We have to. The world is a test, it is not a tragedy. Who can apply? That is why you see that the entire Eastern wisdom is filled with one thing: surrender to the teacher or to the God, surrender to the knowledge. It says, no ego, please. Otherwise, ego will create a big obstacle. Ego will learn intellectually, but ego will not apply. Or ego will apply according to its likes and dislikes. So my attachment continues. I don't change. That is why we say Viveka. That is why the term Viveka has been stressed again and again, whether you say it is Buddhism or our Eastern wisdom. The conscious, aware part that observes the thought without identifying with them is Viveka Buddhi, is the discerning mind or is the discerning intellect. I am upset. Discerning intellect sees this is a thought. I am not the thought. Now it goes on inquiring why I am upset. So you have already separated, and now you recognize that getting upset is not meeting my expectation. I am reacting because my desire is not fulfilled. In that point, you are humble, and when you have a humility, the life changes. Understand in a different way. You are a thought identifier, I'm using the term, or you are a thought observer. You are an observer of your laptop where you are listening me, or you are a identifier with that laptop. So we have two options in everything. When I am a thought identifier, anger is there, then I'm angry. And I'm a thought observer. Oh, I'm angry, this is only a thought. You still maintain calmness. You still maintain calmness in the same situation. There is a thought of anger, observer. I am angry, I identify. Think, think, think. So you have to sit down, contemplate, and reflect. I own this beautiful home. This home, owning the home is just a thought. Identifier, observer. The moment you are an observer, that is what is known as the witness consciousness or witness awareness. Buddha at a higher level, it says this is what the mindfulness is. In ego, it will never happen. You will remain an identifier. The ego will take you to the dream and fancies. Yes, I have identified. When I closed my eyes and I was living in a fantasy world. The moment you return home, return to the actual world, the ego says, no, I'm holding back. You made me angry. That is why we say, that is why Mangala Charan. That is why Mangala Charan. You see, that is why the ego is always insecure, and because of its insecurity, it is filled with the Rajasic Guna. That is why I give in every meditation, I say place, position, and posture. Indirectly, we are dealing with that. We are not dealing with the body. Body jumps or moves or remains still, it has less to do with the meditation. But in the beginning, I have to de-identify. That is the only thing. You remain, you do not identify, and you jump, and you can be in meditation. So in the beginning, when we do it, when upset, quickly check your physical state. Notice body stiffness, tension, and discomfort. Adjust it. Consciously relax and realign using your awareness. Physical comfort supports mental clarity. If we do not succeed in living into that observer, no problem. You just say, okay, let me maintain the place, position, and body. Let me see the physical comfort. You will find out sometime your finger moves and you hold it. You become aware and you say no. That helps. Think. We are going deeper and deeper, but we picked up very, very important, so it will help you to remember. Master is not saying you experience your upset, emotional reaction is there, you recognize it. Master is saying this much. Master is not saying hold it, control it. Recognize it. How do you recognize? You are aware. In the next step, you recognize this is a thought of anxiety, this is not me. Observer. And then the detachment. I am not this thought of anxiety. You repeat it until the thought with an associated emotion loses its power. The moment you lose its power, you'll find calmness. You did nothing to experience the calmness. Calmness is there. Calmness is there. I'm going to introduce another principle plus the practice. Whether you say it's a principle, whether you say it's a practice, or principle plus practice, gradually, maybe in the next session, just close your eyes, what we have understood. Close your eyes. So you are recognizing, you are conscious. Conscious of what? Eyes are closed. Place, position, posture. I just discussed. Place, position in the posture. That is why I started giving you the place of the body and the place of the real self. So we are not going there. We are taking it naturally, very pragmatically. Whereas you start, asking the mind, oh, mind, just check. You are sitting or body is sitting. It's a recognition. Where is the problem? No. My body has a place, position in the body. So simply by having this thought, you are breaking the pattern of the default mind. The intellect is not convinced fully on this, that if by repeating the thought, how can I break the pattern? By having a thought of anxiety, you are in anxiety. By having a thought of reaction, you react. So why not? You can break the pattern of default mind when you become aware that you are not sitting, your body is sitting. The intellect forgets. Why? Because of the mind, default mind. You have to ask your intellect, let me experiment and check if it happens or does not happen. Don't keep that knowledge into your intellect only. Being comfortable. Discerning mind, the comfort is the state. Default mind, I will make an effort to be comfortable. You can never be comfortable by making yourself, you cannot try. So you check, feel, and know and experience directly the entire body. What? Your sensation, comfort, and steadiness is there. Sensation, comfort, and steadiness is. Default mind works directly with the ego. Now you will ask me how it works with the ego. It has a specific thought. What is that specific thought? Now, if I do this, I will be comfortable. You are not doing this. You are doing nothing. You are invoking the knowledge. How? By thought. What the thought says, the comfort is a state, it cannot be achieved, it is always there. Comfort is a state, always there. I need to perceive it. How I can perceive? If the doer drops. The doer says, no, let me be comfortable. Very subtle, very easy, and still challenging. And being carefree. So, in being carefree, we recognize the separation. You recognize the separation. You don't separate. You don't separate. You recognize thought and feeling added are separate from you. Where they occur in the mind. Am I the mind? No. Then how can I be a thought? Or feel or emotion? So simple understanding, default mind says I am thought, and discerning mind says I am not a thought. I'm not a thought of pleasure, of pain, or default mind says I'm a thought of huh? Thought of anger, thought of pleasure, thought of reaction, thought of duality, or you can add as many. How simple it is. But without saying it, it will not happen. For such a simple and very powerful practice that we'll be doing in the next session, we are understanding. So now see, I'm using, and if you experience the space by recognition that thought, feeling, emotion are separate already. Thought is already separate from me. I recognize it. What I understand. I would say I understand. Thought is separate. How come? I find a space between the thought and I am. So space is a recognition. Understanding space is a recognition. Recognition that I am not what I think I am. And then what happens? So when you find this space, you drop Shantu in that space. You have found the space. So every time the thought enters into the mind, I explained you from the person 1, default mind, discerning mind, it recognize the space, and then you drop Om Shanti. Person 3 is your behavior, attitude, and personality. It is always calm. Sometime in some you will find you are so clear. You are so clear. You are so clear means what? Knowledge, means what? Awareness. Now see what happens. There is a thought, there is already a recognition. What is that? A recognition that you are not a thought. There is a space or separation. Better to say space. And the moment you say the space, you say Om Shanti. Finished. Another thought, you recognize. Recognition is separation. Separation is Om Shanti. That happens very, very fast. So that is why we are learning that is why we are learning, my friend, learning. I'll introduce another acronym so that you can instantly bring that into the application. But today, what we are doing or practice, whatever it is, whatever you want to say. Thought is there, yes. Default mind cannot work without impulsive nature. It cannot be undone. It had to do. You feel going to the restroom, impulsive default mind. But when the default mind creates a thought based on attachment, that is the problem. Going to the restroom is not a problem. You cannot get rid of the impulsive mind for 100%. No. If you get it, you're no longer alive. So that is why people find it challenging. Because they want to go either way. There is no impulsive mind at all. They want, that is how our learning is. You are good, it means you cannot be bad. There's a recognition alarm. You notice upset and anxiety arising. It is an alarm. Place, position, and posture. You recognize, you separate. I'm not sitting, it's a body is sitting. So your mind understands the separation. And in that separation, we recognize identifier or an observer. Thought, identifier, this is ego or observer. And that is where we go for thought transformation. This is a thought, I am not the thought. This is a feeling, I am not a feeling. The thought will undergo a transformation when you say it mentally. You recognize that there is a thought of anxiety. If you don't recognize there is a thought of peace, or you don't recognize that you are not a thought, how can you move ahead? The intellect is not fully convinced. It is convinced by regular practice, by contemplation and reflection. And then once we recognize we have a separation, we find the space and we simply drop Om Shanti. Where is the problem? No issue, sometime you will miss it. To see that separation, no issue. That is what we need to notice every day, and we contemplate and reflect every day before we go to sleep, and we have already created now a positive impression. And do nothing, just remain as you are. So you see the thought has come, space, thought has done. So that space is Om Shanti is already there all the time. When and how? When you recognize this is the thought is not me, feeling is not me.